Regular council meeting of February 11, 2013 to order at 7 p.m. Everyone please rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call roll, please.
Stirrett.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Conan.
Here.
Wallach.
Here.
Baylor.
Here.
Cooper.
Here.
Audie.
Here.
Everyone has the agenda in front of them tonight. Are there any additions, deletions, or is there a motion at this time?
Yes, Mr. President, under new business, section 3, I'd like to delete
The replacement police car?
yes.
Okay.
And then also, I'd like to add G, add replacement or an alternate for my being.
On the negotiation committee.
Negotiation.
So contract
Negotiation committee alternate.
Yes, right.
Do you want an alternate or replacement?
Replacement.
Well, you can make a replacement.
Replacement?
Yeah, replacement.
Okay. Are there any other additions, deletions, or is there a motion at this time?
Madam President, I'll move that the agenda be accepted as amended.
Motion by Mr. Ballard. Is there a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Clark. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Are there any citizen comments on non-agenda items? Yes, Mr. Gillespie.
Can I give you an update on the trailhead?
Yes.
As everybody knows, that the gravel got put in, and the trees got put in. Got the parking blocks. Those are, I'll get those done this spring, and I'm working on the benches and the bike racks and funding for those things. And then, did you guys come up with anything on signs yet?
From what I understand, the funding has already been approved through the street commissioner, and we are waiting on the actual verbiage from the police chief. And I have already talked to the DPW superintendent, and he has all ready to place the order as soon as we get the verbiage from the police chief.
Cool.
So.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you going to be able to put up the one that Walt Moore painted that's in my office?
I don't know.
Or don't you know yet?
I don't know.
You know, would that get ruined out in the weather?
He has a
It's
cabinet.
aluminum, and it's supposed to have the idea was to, you know how that state park does and the trail does the same thing. So they put signs, wood signs with wood shake shingles on it and stuff like that in the roof. Well, just to the east of where our trailhead is, they've got a park bench and a signboard. So we were going to build something similar to that, and I got to find somebody to build that. And I was going to stick Walt's thing in there, but I don't know. The Trail Commission, they told me yes, they told me no. It's just kind of like they said they were going to fund it, they're not going to fund it. The last time I talked to them, they were pretty much dead set against any signage.
Well, what's the point of having a trailhead if you don't have signage?
Exactly.
We'll have parking signs that we can test.
I know.
Everywhere.
So I just haven't got the gumption to go back and.
I believe that Walt had that built.
He's got two things. He has the aluminum thing with the painting in it that says something about Armada, and then he has a aluminum and glass double hinged enclosure. So, and I took one of them to the Trail Commission, one of my first meetings. They thought that was really good. But then, after I got as I was getting the trailhead approved, I asked him about the sign, which, you know, with the map showing Armada and stuff. Oh, no, we can't have any advertising. It's not advertising. This is a map of Armada showing this. No, that's advertising. So, I don't know. At this point in time.
Well, it's still here. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, we enjoy
Well,
it, but.
I mean, that's what started the whole
intended-
thing.
yeah, it is.
I mean, that, and,
Absolutely.
you know, me looking out the window, but,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
another option for that, Ben, was putting it on the grain elevator's property, right? I think
There
that
is
was
not.
discussed.
there is,
Like attaching it to the building,
well, that's the only
because
thing
then
you
it's not
do.
on the trail property. They can't
Correct.
tell you what you can do off the trail property.
It's on our property.
Yeah, we do have.
You don't have any property.
Well, we're the old water tower.
Well, yeah,
Down
but
that
it-
way, but
you
I know it's not
So you're gonna put a
close to.
sign for
Yeah, I
the
know.
trailhead?
Yeah.
I
Put it
know.
right by the
500
parking
feet.
lot, that's on our property.
What parking lot?
No, the parking lot is on the trail property.
Yeah, you don't have any property.
Yeah.
There's no property on
No. Even the elevator has none, because there's no
I'm sure
property line.
I'm sure
Oh, is
something
it?
could be worked out then.
Yeah, I think somehow, I mean, something, we'll get something in there, I just don't know what, so I wanna do recognition for all the donors, and I don't know what I don't know what the Trail Commission will let me do. So at this point in time, I don't even know what that recognition, how we'll do that recognition, but somehow.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Galecki? Perfect, thank you for the update. Are there any other citizen comment on non-agenda items? Any other citizen comments? Hearing none, we have no presentations tonight. Everyone has their administrative reports, which is the building department report, and commissioner liaison reports can be heard at this time.
There is also planning commission meeting minutes from January 7th and an agenda for 2013 from planning commission and NEMC minutes.
Are there any questions on any of those? Or is there a commissioner liaison report at this time?
Madam President, I do have one.
Okay,
On our downtown sidewalks of Macomb County, the construction of our downtown sidewalk project, that's our, the ones where we have to lift the pieces of sidewalk. They have to be bid as per Davis-Bacon wages to qualify for CDBG reimbursement. And the 2014 East Main Street tip, I'm going to have Giffords give their recommendation on this project, and Giffords will work with the county to amend the tip to include any preliminary engineering services.
okay. So you'll go into more detail on those when we get to those
Right.
agenda items?
Yes, I will.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Mr. Ballard, you had an update for us? Or, I'm sorry, Mr. Galecki. Sorry, I'm looking right at you.
We look alike.
Sorry about that. Sorry, it's the
Yeah,
wind
we're
blowing
both wearing
hair look.
As you, I don't know, you've got our agenda of kind of what we want to do for 2013. So there's some ordinance amendments that we'd like to do. There's a couple of things that would go along with, council would have to change the code of ordinances to do some of them. But basically, anything that we do as far as the ordinance changes is going to require money. So I don't know if there's any CDBG money. No, so it's all going to be out-of-pocket money. So,
We don't even get CDBG money this year.
well, okay, but there's nothing left.
Not for not for planning.
Okay, all right. So one of the things I'd like to do, I've kind of always had it in the budget, never did it. I'd like to do a training session. What we're doing right now is the training session I planned originally was going to be an in-house, specially designed for Armada. So we're going to have a representative from McKenna come right into our commission and talk. So the ZBA would be invited and council would also be invited. So what we're doing at this point is coming up with items of interest, what we wanted to get trained in. So one is special approval land use. And another one is kind of leeway. So what you have, you know, how to interpret the ordinances, how to do this, you know, kind of how to rewrite ordinances, some of the things that we're looking at. So that's part of the training thing, and then just general standards. So we'd be looking at some money for that. And there's also some ordinance, like I said, there's some ordinance updates that we'd like to do. The building inspector has asked us to look at the fence ordinance. So Amy Neary is coming up with kind of some rough estimates on what all these things are gonna cost. So we'll come back to you and see how much money that you'll let us do.
Did you check with the Michigan State University Distant Community Center that I went to over to see if they would offer some kind of training if it's cheaper than McKenna?
I don't believe that they will. I mean, I could do that. Their things are pretty much, this is what we offer, and we'll train you into this. So you and I have both been to seminars. I've been to quite a few seminars, and I've gone to 2-day seminars where I got like 45 minutes this day, 15 minutes this day of what I needed. So if we do this the way we're planning on it, we're going to have 2 or 3 hours that are all just for what we want.
Right.
And then not only, then you don't have to pay, like those seminars were $200–300, then you paid mileage, you paid this, you paid that to get people to go.
Right.
The last price tag I got was $1,000. You couldn't send everybody to a seminar for $1,000.
No, but if we might be able to get a master citizen planner out here to do it real
Well,
quick for you, maybe?
I did some planning guidelines, some introduction to planning stuff. I did some booklets a couple of years ago. We could do that again. I'd really like to do it this way.
Right.
So, I mean, there's other options out there, and if we're on a budget constraint, that's kind of when we come back and ask for money, we'll say, okay, this is here's our wish list.
Right.
What can we do?
Right.
You know, we'll prioritize, and if the training is one of the things that falls by the wayside, we'll go back to the booklet stuff.
Is she charging per person or the amount of time, or what is she charging?
It would be time, so it's not going to be a per person thing. So that's where we're really going to make out, because we can have everybody there, the ZBA there, council there, anybody that would kind of like to come.
Okay. Perfect.
So I guess Township did the same thing a few years ago, and they invited us, but it was at a cost, and nobody chose to go.
Kind of give me a ballpark soon, because I'm putting general budget together.
Well, yeah, I want to get it in for this budget year, but, you know, there's money that I've been budgeting for the training and other things that have carried over.
Current budget year.
I understand.
I mean, is that what you're asking? You're going to try and do it in this current budget year? Okay,
Correct.
you've got
In the next
1,000
1
in there
month.
for training already. So, okay.
Yeah, so some of it's going to roll over. I don't know how you guys roll over funds if I don't spend them, because I really haven't spent much money.
Okay.
But there's some things that are afoot that we'd kind of like to do.
Thank you. Is there any more questions for Mr. DeLucky? Okay, thank you so much for the update.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner liaison reports? Hearing none, we have the consent agenda in front of us. It is the approval of the regular council meeting minutes of January 28th, 2013, and the payment of bills. Is there anything anyone would like to take out, discuss, or is there a motion at this time?
So moved.
To
Approve as presented.
Okay.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Audi, support by Mr. Ballard. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. Old business. We'll go with the first one, is the DDA minutes from 2011, 2012. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none. Not sure if this is Mr. Conan or the
Well, maybe a
clerk.
combination, but
Okay.
I'll start
We'll
out
let Dave
here.
start. Okay.
I have sent 2 emails that I know have been received, because I've had some discussion with Robin on them. John's aware. My understanding is, from what I read, that Michelle sent a letter to the chairman, and also to all members of the DDA as well as council. Everybody got a copy, is that correct?
Yep. To their
So,
homes.
I don't know what more to do on that. The secretary is Mike Sukat, and I take it that he's aware of it.
Well, the letters that went out for the DDA went to their homes. Yours just went in your
Yeah.
boxes. So I didn't receive any of them back, so I have to go on the assumption that everybody got them.
Well, Robin always helps John on these, and we've had a couple discussions
And I
on it.
talked to Robin also, because to see if she'd gotten them, and they had to cancel their last meeting last week.
Yeah, the
for
meeting of February 5th.
For lack of quorum, so I called just to make sure that that was posted. I didn't want them to not have it posted, so I talked to her that day, and as of that day, she hadn't heard anything either.
Jeff, is there any deadline of when these minutes need to be approved? I know that they're supposed to be approved at a reasonable amount of time, but
Right.
is there a drop dead cutoff where now we're in violation of some kind of law?
Well, clearly under the Open Meetings Act, they do have to obviously have minutes. So until they're finalized and approved, you know, there's a question of whether you're meeting that obligation to have minutes from the meeting. For boards that don't meet on a regularly scheduled basis, sometimes there is a time lag before they can get back together to take that action, because they do need to be done by formal action at the meeting. It sounds to me like the council, you know, is doing everything they can. The longer it goes, the more uncomfortable I become, but I mean, I don't think there's technically, right now, we're in violation, but obviously you gotta get a quorum, you've gotta meet, and you've gotta approve the minutes. The sooner that happens, the better. If we can't, then, you know.
We're down to what,
4 meetings,
no, how many members?
7,
We got still 7?
I believe so.
Well, if there's...
No,
I don't
wait.
think so.
Maybe, because if you don't have, 2 people miss, and then there isn't a quorum, and the
Right.
quorum is 5, so it must be
Right.
6. They're down to 6.
I knew I couldn't make that meeting, and I sent him email, you know, 2 or 3 weeks in advance, saying that, trying to get it moved today. Because I know how hard, you know, it's hard to get a quorum.
Well, and especially if you know, because you have schedules of when you're gonna be doing other things.
Do we have any leads on business owners that want to join the DDA? I've talked to a bunch and all of them tell me to find someone else.
We did advertise for it.
We've
and we did
We
not
have
get
advertised
anything
many
from
times
anyone.
over the years. I don't know how recently we've advertised, but
No, we've
Business owners
we've
haven't really
asked,
changed.
you know, when it really, I'd like to get some of the businesses that have walk-in clientele, you know, more like the downtown, but can't get any of them interested. We did, we had one interested, and then when things went bad, people got so nasty that person decided they did not want to get involved.
well, at this point in the game, really, with the tax revenues being where they are and everything, there's not really a whole lot of action required by the DDA.
We
Well,
did not get
basically,
their
I
budget.
think
I mean,
the
the
one
budget,
thing,
we have to-
we
they
need
have to have the
to approve the payment of the
Bond,
Right,
bond.
yeah.
So we need their budgeting, and how comfortable do you as the liaison feel that a meeting is gonna happen next month to get us the budget on time?
Well, I've got to be,
Budgets are done.
I'm open that date, you know, so I can't speak for anybody else.
Their budget's done, drafted, and everybody's got it in their boxes. All they gotta do is meet and approve it.
Well, that's what I'm asking,
Right.
how confident does he feel a quorum
That
is
they
gonna, I mean, they
will
haven't
meet.
had a meeting
I
now
can't-
for so many times.
Well, they had one in December,
They're trying to
Okay,
special.
but
and then they had
Well,
none
yeah.
scheduled in January, and the one they didn't have the one in February.
Right.
Is there a reason why they don't keep minutes or publish them regularly?
They're not published.
Oh.
Their meeting minutes aren't
They're
published.
just turned in.
They're turned in and
They always take
Okay.
minutes at the meeting. Why you haven't got these, I don't know.
Do we run into any problem if we get a FOIA request and we can't fulfill it because we don't have the minutes?
No, I mean, you just wouldn't have the public record to produce, so I don't think you would violate.
Well, it's not-
You can't produce something you don't have.
Right,
it's
obviously.
not the best answer.
But I would want to make sure that if you do have that meeting, that the agenda include the meeting minutes for approval.
Well, I definitely bring it up.
I
I'm
don't,
hoping that will have them by then.
the DDA's, do they have a, I mean, how do they set the agenda? Is that generally done by the chair or?
The chair
Yeah.
sets it. But you know, before, you know, they had discussions about Armada, about Armada, but you know, and I thought they probably want to have some on Armada, but I have not heard anything yet anyhow.
So you said Mike is the secretary?
Right,
and you
Mike
haven't heard
Zugat
anything
is.
from
No.
him?
And the last time I spoke to Robin, she had either. But again, I didn't talk to her today.
So they only have one more meeting scheduled before the budget has to be in.
Yeah. I'd say
March, yeah.
So we have to be pretty confident that you guys are gonna be able to get a quorum together and get it to us, so we don't run into any problems again.
Well, I'll try to pass that on.
Okay.
You know, you can lead a horse to water.
I
Yeah.
understand that, but we are putting our faith into something that we've been hurt on a few times. So, just wanna make sure that,
I know that we've been hurt a few times, but
okay.
I know you'd like to get this taken care of. What
Yes,
you're really
the
looking is that the DDA approves that budget for March.
And the
And the
minutes.
minutes.
I mean, they're both just as
Yeah.
important.
And the
My
bond
concern-
payment and the
Yeah.
interest or
Back
whatever
to the
else.
minutes. If they're not keeping minutes, how are they going to be able to tell who was at that meeting to be able to approve those minutes?
Well,
I'm sure they're
they
keeping
take
minutes, they just
at
haven't been
meetings, you
turned
know
in.
that.
Yeah. I don't think that they're not being done, they're just not making it to my office. Now, whether they've made it to you the next meeting after, for approval,
know,
I don't know.
No.
According to the stuff in
The-
Nancy's folder, the meetings she was at, they weren't in there.
The village meetings
Which I
are
appreciate.
very formal. The DDA minutes are extremely informal. You know,
Right.
and I'm not saying it's the way it should be, but
Right.
that's really the way
Yeah,
it is.
I would agree with
and
that.
It's more of an informal meeting. And,
Well, they don't, I mean, a lot of it isn't, a lot of, no discussions really included, but,
In the minutes.
yeah, in the minutes.
Right.
The one that I'm really concerned about is the one from 2011. That's the one that has me really concerned. But it could have been approved, they could have been approved, I just don't have minutes showing that.
so
So-
I will pass that as extremely important to, for sure, approve that budget in March.
Yeah. And the minutes.
Now, have you gone over that with John at all, Joe?
It's in everybody's boxes, nobody's,
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody's picked them up or reviewed them.
Well, I don't think you have to wait to see if you're gonna have a quorum. I mean, I think if we know who the members are, I would suggest that we confirm availability for that meeting, and if not, then
Reschedule them.
I think you,
Yeah.
I typically, I can't really say I know for sure, but a lot of bylaws provide that the chair can call a special meeting, or in some cases, 3 or some combination of board members.
Yeah.
I would find out what would be the next meeting date, Dave?
The 5th of March, I believe it is.
I believe it is too.
Okay, so I think we should definitely find out that you're gonna be able to get a quorum, and then if not, then in that same email or communication, I'd ask them for alternate dates.
Do other places that, where boards have meetings, like the DDA only has what, 4 or 5 scheduled this year?
Yeah.
Do other places have, like, they have a meeting in March and say they don't have one till August? I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there. Would it be prudent of them to set a meeting for April just to approve the minutes? Because there's so much time that goes between when the minutes, when the meeting happened and the approval of the minutes. I myself wouldn't remember, but I'm just wondering if other municipalities do it that way.
But then
That's-
August,
that's
would you have
the
to have
ideal.
But then
another
all,
meeting
but
to
all it would
approve
be,
the minutes from
no,
that
no,
meeting?
because the only thing on that one was approval of the minutes, done, boom.
Still
It's not like, I know, but it's not like it's a detailed meeting of what happened. It's just, we approve the minutes as we did at that meeting, and 4 months later, yep, that's what we did. Rather than, yeah, we discussed this, and this happened, and did you make that motion? Did I?
Right, I
it-
understand that, but it just still seems like a
One of the real
document.
problems here, and quite frankly, some of us that were there at the time should have thought this could be a problem. When we set that DDA, this little small district of our community, with a board size of 9 members, Common sense would tell you you're gonna have a tough time keeping that full. That it's just too big of a board.
It was full for a lot
For
of
our
years.
size
It was full the whole
community
time I was
and
on
for
it.
that size district.
Can we reduce it, Jeff, to 3 or 5 members?
I don't think, the reason it was that high, Harry, was because the state law required, you know,
Yeah.
they say the board shall be comprised of, and it was a high number, so I could check, I don't think we can, but
I think it was 9 to 12, I think it was up
Yeah,
to 12.
I think we went on the low
Yeah.
end.
It just,
Or
I
9
mean,
to
it's
13, I
hard to
think.
keep that
Yeah.
size board
It is
out
hard.
of that small group.
Well, what are other options to get the DDA to comply or help them comply?
Well, again, if people can no longer attend meetings, I mean, it just, there's other things in their lives that they can't make meetings, you can ask people, you know, is it in your best interest to possibly consider resigning so that we can, I know it's a challenge to find people, but if people can't serve, then, you know, it doesn't hurt to say, what are your intentions? You know, you've missed 3 meetings in a row, you've missed 4 meetings in a row.
Well, people are automatically removed after 3 meetings, but we don't have the minutes to know if they were even there, correct?
That's a good point. Yeah.
So
good
there
point.
could be people that shouldn't be serving.
Which again is the
Anyway.
reason I don't, you think you can leave it to chance that this will happen March 5th. I think you better find out now whether March 5th is gonna work.
Yeah, I'll try to find that out.
And then if it doesn't, then do the special meeting, get the meeting minutes approved. And like you said, then you'll know whether people are missing meetings.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for the DDE minutes? Hearing none. The next old business item is downtown sidewalks CDBG funds. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none. Mr. Ballard, I do believe this is your
No.
agenda.
Nope.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
yours.
I'm sorry.
It's mine. Just quickly, I included an email back and forth between Carrie and I about the CDBG funds. We had left it at the last meeting, wondering, and then Lyle said this in the beginning of the meeting, if you use CDBG for engineering, the project itself has to be CDBG also. So that's where we're at. I talked to Andy about it, I talked to Lyle about it, and you know, that's just where we're at. I just wanted to bring you up to snuff on going back to the county.
Michelle, question I have is if we pay for engineering ourselves, can we use CDBG for the installation?
The construction.
The
Yes.
construction, we can.
Yeah, all you have to,
I
I mean,
wasn't clear.
the thing is the 5,054 is not enough to do this project.
No, it's not.
With engineering and with even the
Right.
construction end of it, I don't think it's
Right.
enough. And so all I have to do is send her a short letter that says, we're gonna use 5,054.21 of CDBG and the other 8,000, whatever, you know, whatever it is, we're going to be using out of the street funds. And
Right.
I mean, and just so she's aware, I don't have to change the application then, which I got nervous about, because I thought, oh, we have to change that application, then it
Yeah,
goes through the
yeah.
whole acceptance process again, which means it could be shut down. And because this project was included in the original CBD, Central Business District redevelopment, that's why we can still go forward with it the way we are. So, I mean, we just have to explain to her where the other funds are coming from.
I have another thought. There's other communities out there that have money that they have not spent.
That are lending,
Is
yes.
it something that we may want to look into that process to borrow from another community, do this project, and in 2 years when we get our money,
Pay them back.
pay them back?
Because it's, well,
2 or
because
3
it's
years.
not that huge of an amount. I mean, if we had a big project, I'd say, yeah, it's probably a good idea. I mean, it's possible, you can do it. As a matter of fact, I had a community call us to ask us if we would give them their money, give them our money next year, because they're, but, you know, I said, no, we've already got plans for ours, but,
It's just a thought, because,
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
if
you
it's
can do
10,
that.
15,000, that's 10, 15,000 less out of our money.
That's right.
I
Because
mean,
there are, and I think, you know, you're right, if you had a big project, maybe with the parking lot issue, maybe we could have did something, now that that's coming to my mind. But if you also only need a little bit of money, somebody might be sitting there with $20,000.
that they don't have
That they don't
anything to
have
use
a
it for.
project.
Right,
They're not gonna come up with a $20,000 project, they might just give it to us.
Right.
Because they're gonna lose it by December 31st.
But you
of
do-
next year. depending on what year funds they are.
No, there's people like us, they have December 31st, 2013 money.
I'm sorry, you're right, 2013,
That,
I'm sorry.
that are, you know, could be under $20,000. They're gonna lose it because they can't find a viable brick and mortar
Right,
project.
well, and if we weren't using this 5,054 for this, we would be doing that, because
Right.
we wouldn't have any idea how to spend that $5,000.
I think it might be worth a call to some of the communities.
The only thing you have to watch out for is we are not assured any money when our time comes either.
And then the contract would have to say that if HUD cuts the project or the program, we're not paying you back. They're gonna lose the money anyway if they don't have any viable projects. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, it's worth a call to the county, and I can get some names, communities from Cary to see if she knows of any. I mean, it can't hurt, so I can do that. Okay.
Any other questions?
That would be if you're gonna do CDBG for this project, the Davis-Bacon. If you're not doing Davis-Bacon, then you cost it all out.
Right.
Perfect. Any other questions? Hearing none, moving on to the next agenda item. Under new business is the ethics ordinance discussion. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, trustee Audi, this is your agenda item.
Okay, thank you. I spoke to Michelle, I think, back in November about something, I forget what, I was coming in to get the mail, and I mentioned something, and if we had an ethics ordinance, and it kind of turns out we really don't. I was one of the chairs of the Macomb County Charter Commission that did the county ethics policy, and I thought it would be worth investigating for Armada, coming up with a framework for the village. And I enclosed a sample one from Saugatuck, Michigan. A lot of the communities in Michigan have them, about 70% do. Sandusky has one, I believe Richmond has one, most counties have them. So really it's just coming up with a statement, and then it would apply to all employees and elected and appointed officials too.
Okay, everyone has a copy of the one that he discussed in their packets.
I would want something simpler than this, but basically it goes over what's prohibited behavior, what needs to be disclosed, accepting a gift from a contractor, outside employment that would conflict with the village function you're doing, disclosures of gifts. These are all pretty common things right now. From the search I did, Jeff, you can correct me, we don't have any restrictions on gifts.
I don't believe so, not in the General Law Village Act or by ordinance. I don't think we have anything specifically.
And there's a public act in the 1970s that kind of covers it, but this would basically clear up much of the gray area, if there ever was any.
We do have employee rules of conduct, obviously, that do cover some of it, but more workplace related items versus some of the areas that this covers.
Like accepting the gift, isn't it what the federal trial down in Detroit is all about right now?
No.
Well, no, that's
a little different.
Yeah, but they were saying that they accepted gifts for influence of a vote, and that's what item B says.
Yeah.
They did a lot more than that.
That isn't covered in general.
One of them is.
I was gonna say, I didn't think we were allowed to take any.
No, I think we don't have a code of conduct per se in the General Law Act. You know what I'm saying? It just, they generally leave that to local home rule.
Some of it is optional too, but it makes sense. We will not disclose public records or information that we receive in confidence, except when authorized to do so by law. Keeping things in, closed session, confidential.
Those are just under anything you take when you take the oath of
Yeah.
office. I mean,
No,
honestly.
It really isn't though, and that's the, some of it not using village property for personal gain,
But I guess I just don't understand, if someone was to do that currently today, even though we don't have this, I don't think they would feel comfortable coming to a meeting knowing that we would discuss it. So, I mean, we have an open format already, we're televised, public can come, we address all the public, we discuss everything openly. I mean, I don't know if I see a need to have this. These are all basically things that anyone who has any basic knowledge of public office would already know.
correct.
So I I don't see a
Okay.
reason, that's me personally.
Joe, Michelle, Steve, now didn't Ross bring something like this?
It was a
Seems
while
like we
ago,
talked about
yeah, we
something,
did a
but-
while ago.
That's why I kind of thought we had something, but evidently
No,
not.
I think back then, I think we decided that Public Act, Act 196, 1973, as it states in here, that's the reporting an alleged violation to a supervisor of the council. And same thing as commencing a lawsuit, any person can do that. Reporting an alleged violation to the county prosecutor falls into that. Act 566, 1978, requesting the county prosecutor to commence a lawsuit, anybody can do that. I think it's all already put in the public acts of the state of Michigan. And, you know, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. And if it's there, use it. And if it's not there, then put an ordinance in. But as far as us having to put something specific to us, I think is reinventing the wheel. I really do.
I think we need to hold Armada to a higher ethical standard. I think we should follow what other communities are doing instead of just saying and hoping that we're not gonna ever need to use it. I really hope this, if we do pass an ethics policy or ordinance, we never have to find out if we need it, but it's something I think Armada should do. What I'd like is Jeff to draft it and then come up with a simple version for Armada to adopt, and but it's up to council.
Have you done one before for other communities, Jeff?
I think we've done amendments. I don't think I've, drafted one from scratch. The only thing that I want to point out to council consideration, just so everybody understands, I think the one thing that my experience has been with these is when it comes to enforcement, and it's kind of interesting that when you look at section B to this, they talk about the guidelines that should be binding on officers, officials, and then employees. But then when they get to enforcement, you can see that the only ones they really go after is employees, because people have to understand, when you're an elected official, other than the governor removal, which you may be familiar with, again with the Kwame Kilpatrick situation, where Governor Granholm conducted a hearing, and there's been requests to Governor Schneider, I think, to remove some local officials. Other than that, recall is really a remedy. So I just want to point that out, just so everybody understands that even this document, it's somewhat limited when you get to the enforcement stage. My only other comment, if we go forward, is just we need to also look and make sure that this does fit well with our employee rules of conduct, and then also state law, as many of you know, to remove, for instance, a planning person or another. We have very specific statutes that say this person can be removed for malfeasance or misfeasance, and there's other standards that they put out, and we need to make sure that that fits together real well so that there's no overlap between the two standards. But I just want to make sure, don't get the expectation that if there is an ethical breach, that's going to be like an automatic, I just don't want to have anybody believe that it's going to be a slam dunk, because even this one acknowledges how difficult it is. And they may have been satisfied that it's enough to say, don't do this, and there's some value to that, but I wanted to point that out so that everybody understands that it's somewhat difficult to get an elected official removed.
And part of what prompted this for me too, I remembered back in November, I learned, I guess, that a DDA member was borrowing some equipment from the village and using it, for an extended length of time without returning it. And a policy like this would help clarify things like that as well. That's what really.
Do you need a policy though to go after something like that?
No, the DDA statute, as well as I think our local ordinances state the grounds for which somebody would be removed in the process. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying this doesn't help that, but we have to make sure that they fit well together, because there are specific standards for removal of those people. Employees, as you all know, we have employee rules of conduct, we have level of offenses and the appropriate discipline for those. So I think it's just another tool in a toolkit.
If you had to come up with a number, what would you say a number would be, a realistic number that would be in expenses for you to draft something like this? I mean, from beginning to end. Because maybe this is something we discuss at budget time as opposed to right now, you know?
Okay.
Since we're going over budgets right
It's
now.
hard because I don't like to jump in. I need to hear feedback from the council, how expansive. It's a good question,
Right,
because I think,
right.
but it's, you know, I just need more feedback really to say,
To what extent we want to take this.
Well, just
Yeah.
give it some thought.
Right.
I mean, I guess
So we're-
ultimately council needs to get comfortable with the concept and then say, you know, Jeff, we want it very straightforward, simple, you know, or we want the Cadillac version where, you know, where we get into a lot of things, a lot of different aspects.
This one's actually pretty simple, and that's what I was kind of hoping for. It can always be amended later, but
And this is a policy, it's not actually an ordinance.
Correct.
So, you know, that's,
Any other discussion on it? Okay, we can think about it and
all right.
discuss it at another time. Thank you. Next agenda item is property and liability insurance renewal. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, this is the village clerk's agenda item.
A renewal came in from the MML for our property and liability insurance renewal. It actually went down from last year, $746. And we can also expect a check for $42.14 reimbursed after the April 15th renewal, as the MML has been doing for the last few years. Their hierarchy, or their board voted to return $2.3 million to members who renewed coverage in 2013. I don't have an invoice yet. I had the amounts, and I do. I probably would have to figure it out though. 32,390. But it'll be 31. You got a calculator, anybody?
Go ahead.
You taking out?
32,396 minus 746. So 0.95. 31,650.
yep.
So it went down from 32,104 to 31,650. So just letting you know, it's just kind of an FYI. I thought the original thing that I got was, when I originally put it on, I thought I had an invoice, but it's not. So just letting us know. So I'm just letting you know.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So in theory, really, our property and liability insurance is gonna run us about $27,000?
Right, when you take out the
Because would you also
4,000.
subtract the 42?
Yeah, if you take out
In
the
theory.
40. In theory, yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
So, anyways, just letting you know.
You don't need a motion from us?
No, I don't have a bill yet, so, I
Okay.
mean, that'll just come through on the schedule of bills, the next schedule, or I don't know if it's the next one, but it'll be coming through future schedule bills, but that's the advantage of, you know, having the MML with a lot of members, so it saves us money, so.
Perfect. Any questions? Hearing none, next agenda item. Clarification of basic coverage language. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, so village clerk and treasurer's agenda item.
I'm actually gonna let the treasurer talk on this one since she talked to Dave about it.
Initially, when we set up the basic insurance plan, the logic was in it was, and not everybody here will remember, when we had our own insurance, we were self-insured, and we paid the co-pays through the self-insurance plan. And when we set this up, it was basically the same thing, and if you remember, we saved a boatload of money by doing it that way. We have found where there are instances now, and I think a lot of it may be in the interpretation in the clerical staff at the basic insurance offices, but Michelle and I weren't comfortable to talk with them without letting you know exactly what's going on. Some of the co-pays were being covered, some of the co-pays weren't being covered. The intent was, that was what we did with this insurance, was we set up with the basic to cover the co-pays. Point in question was a contractor bill. So one employee was being paid, and then all of a sudden, then he wasn't getting paid for co-pays, and then they were saying, oh, well, you don't have co-pays covered. So Michelle and I just wanted to bring it to council so that we have the authority to go ahead and go backward, revert to the initial plan and intent for it, and put everything on the same page.
Ten, 15 years ago was the intent to cover those visits?
Wasn't quite
It
that
wasn't
long
that
ago.
long.
Yeah. Back when
It's
we
when
first
we,
negotiated
it's when, yeah, it's when we went to the HRA.
2006,
Yeah,
2007.
2007, 2008.
Was the intent at that time to cover
Yes.
the
Right.
chiropractor
Yes.
visits?
Well, it was to cover the co-pays.
The co-pay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
co-pays.
all
Right,
co-pays.
just the way we did it when we had the self-insured. And we actually had Mr. Arsenal back then when we did that, so he remembered and said, oh yeah, you know what, Joe, he says, we can save a lot of money by reverting back to that type of a plan. Do it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much the extent of the instructions on it. So now we need to just go backwards and make sure that that's exactly what the initial one said.
So is the problem with us or the problem with basic?
I think it's with basic, and especially since that they were paying it,
Up until December. Yeah.
and then just all of a sudden said, oh, no, wait, that's not covered.
Yeah, and then they said, oh, well, we shouldn't have. Well, yeah, you should have. But it's the way that the chiropractor, I think, is billing it to
Could be
basic
part of the
is
problem.
part of the problem too.
A coding problem?
It could be. I mean, it could be. Instead of them calling it an office copay office visit, they called it a manipulation or something.
Fee.
Something, yeah, which it's an office visit. It's still a
Right.
$30.
Was there a way that this employee can contact the chiropractor and see, how did you bill it in December?
No, they billed it. That's how they've always billed it.
They've always billed it the
Basic kind of.
They paid it to one
now,
point,
yeah, they.
now all of a sudden it appears someone's looked at it and took a different interpretation on it and saying, oh, wait, no, we shouldn't be paying.
Yeah, so
So-
we just want to be able to tell them no,
To
look,
tell us
those are
basic
paid
copay
too.
is a copay.
It's not costing anymore because it's still going to be a $20 reimbursement, just like any
Right.
Other
other.
office visit, copay.
Madam President, I'll resolve to contact Basic to clarify the discrepancies between medical co-pays, chiropractic co-pays, so they are consistent with the initial intent of the plan.
Do you want him, you want that motion to say for him to contact?
No.
No.
I'm sure
It's just for
sure Lyle
two,
would.
well,
No,
to
resolve the
contact.
contact.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not for him, yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, good
Yeah.
job, Blah.
Thanks. It's a
Well, I
waste.
love arguing with you.
Motion by Mr. Ballard, is there a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Clark, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next agenda item, engineering for 2014 East Main Street project. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, Street Administrator Ballard, this is your agenda item.
Thank you. Under direction of the President, in the interest of time, I'm going to turn it over to Andy.
Yeah, I gave you guys a basic outline in your agenda statement that kind of says where we're at. Currently, the construction engineering and the construction is covered under the TIP. And we can add in preliminary engineering to that TIP and still be under the 900,000 that we were planning on for this project. So I've had several discussions with the county and several discussions with the state, both with opposite ideas on whether or not the village engineer can actually do the preliminary engineering and you guys can get reimbursed for it. So, since the state is the one telling me, no, we can't get reimbursed, and they're the ones that are going to be doing the reimbursement, reimbursement eventually, I'm gonna recommend that the village go out for bid on the project. That way we can assure that you guys you'll be able to get that reimbursement, because otherwise then you would kind of be out 40,000 if they said in the end that you wouldn't be able to get reimbursed.
So due to the conflict of interest, if we had two different engineering doing this project, those are both covered then under TIP. But if we had you do both of them, one of them would not be, is that correct?
You can actually have one engineer do as long as it's not the village engineer, do the preliminary engineering and the construction engineering.
So we just fired you.
Problem
solved.
Well, the only problem is then you can't hire another engineer because then he's not able to do that project either, so.
You talked the same guy Ben did.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's kind of back and forth, but we're saying the best fiscal responsibility of the village. We want to make sure that you guys can take full advantage of all the reimbursements. So you should go out for bid on the project. And we will amend the TIP to add that preliminary engineering into the project. And
so that would take the engineering cost that you gave us down because someone else is actually doing part of it, correct?
Well, it'll
Your
still
bill
be,
wouldn't be the same.
I would pretty much have no bill, other than I would prepare the RFP for the engineering if you guys wanted me to. And that usually runs around 2,000, so that's what we would say that's what it'll run. If it runs me more, then I'll deal with it, but that's what we're gonna recommend this time. That way you guys can take full advantage of that 900,000.
So you won't have anything to do with that project, but the
Inspections and stuff.
We won't have anything to do with it.
but preparing the RFP.
Exactly, other than preparing the RFP, and if in the end you need us to step in and help the village to
Navigate.
argue, navigate, however you want to put
Yeah.
it, but then we can help. Other than that, we're just gonna.
But we have experience in that already, right?
Yeah, we've navigated.
We're good at that.
Yeah.
How will that work since you've already done the topo? Would turn that over?
We would turn it over. We're just gonna turn it over with a note that says for the other firms to verify.
Right.
We're confident in it,
Right.
but
Leave it up to them that,
exactly.
you know, you said these pipes are here or whatever, that
Yeah, these
They
pipes
need
are
to
here
check.
and this is the ground level, you should check it, but we're confident in where it's at, but we're not gonna say. This is
and
perfect.
you're able to do that because I mean, that is actually our property?
Exactly,
Okay.
yep. You guys already did it, you already paid for it, so it's
Okay.
your property.
So request for bids, let's say it was gonna be a $200,000 engineering, let's just say a roundabout number. We paid, what, 40,000 for the topo, roundabout?
10,000.
10,000? So then you would anticipate the other engineer only charging us 190 for the project? I mean, cause they might charge less or more for the topo. Or would it still be 200 and they would just use your 10,000?
The topo they already did, you mean?
Yeah.
Are they gonna redo another topo, is that what you're asking?
Right, are they gonna decrease their price based upon the topo being,
That's the plan, that we're gonna turn this over to them during the bidding process so that they can verify it.
Well, that would be in the
Sure.
RFP.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that we would
Yeah.
freely hand it out.
Yeah.
Go ahead and look and make sure it's
It
exactly
kind of
what you
stinks for
want.
village engineers though, doesn't it? I mean,
It
that
does.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it does, I mean,
Big project, you
you're
can't do
almost
that.
better not being named as somebody's only engineering firm, you
Yeah.
know?
It
That hurts you.
does, luckily in the village, well, luckily and unluckily, you only have a couple roads that actually qualify for that tip, so it doesn't hurt us
Hurt too much,
immensely,
but still,
that-
that's-
Yeah, it still kinda hurts.
So I would like to make the following motion, I have it written out for you.
Okay.
So you're gonna read it and then give it to
And
her?
I'll give it to you. if
Okay,
she-
so you don't need to do it.
Okay, that, I will resolve to allow Giffords Webster to proceed with amending the tip, to include the preliminary engineering and prepare an RFP for preliminary engineering and construction engineering for the 2014 East Main Street reconstruction project. The cost not to exceed $2,000.
Motion by Mr. Ballard, is there a second?
Support.
support by Mr. Clark. Any other discussion? I believe it's a roll call, correct?
I don't have room.
You wanna read that motion again, no, please?
Sure. To allow Giffords Webster Engineering to proceed with amending the tip to include the preliminary engineering and prepare RFP, request for proposal, for preliminary engineering for the 2014 East Main Road Reconstruction Project. Cost not to exceed $2,000.
Any other discussion?
One quick discussion. Do we have to do anything with the motion that was approved at the last meeting? Because you had approved for Giffords to proceed with the engineering,
Right.
right? Do we have to like revoke it or remove it?
What, do you remember,
It'll be in our minutes.
28?
Everybody at once. See who's
Engineers,
first. It's right. Okay, I got it. Page 3.
That sounds like what we did tonight.
Well, we did a cost not to exceed $2,000 and we're changing the tip and doing the RFP. That's what that says to me.
I don't think, yeah, I don't think, I mean, it was kind of,
Well,
they
we
began
engineer, so that's
RFP.
they're not
Document.
Do we have to rescind it before we can take this one?
No.
No, I would say no.
So we can just keep
Different.
doing this one and it
Yeah,
doesn't?
so we just do a motion to see the January 28th.
Yeah. So we need to rescind this one first before we can do this one?
Either way, I don't think it's, yeah, why don't you just do that first?
Okay.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
Yes, we do have a motion and a
Okay,
second.
and just do a motion to table the motion on the floor, then take this one up, and then, well, that's what you have to.
Watch this. Madam President, I move that the motion that is on the floor be tabled.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Ballard, is there a second?
I'll support that.
Support by Mr. Clark to table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
I guess my only question then, I wasn't here, so on January 28th, was there anything in that motion, Lyle, that related, that was still asking Giffords to do?
Yes, it was, let's see.
They're still putting together the bidding documents, right?
To allow
They're putting together-
Giffords Webster engineers to begin engineering, bidding documents, and bidding
Okay,
process
so.
for the 2014 East Main
Does
Street
it have to be the
reconstruction.
same motion person as? Okay, so someone just needs to make a motion to rescind the motion in the January 20th, 2013 minutes.
Madam President, I will make a motion to rescind, let's see, let me get the right one. General business,
Lyle?
yes,
Just say resolve
Okay.
to rescind the motion to allow Giffords Webster engineers to begin engineering, bidding documents, and bidding process for the 2014 East Main Street reconstruction project.
got that, Michelle?
Well, yeah, it's a motion from last week.
No, he took a, no, it's not the entire motion.
No, it's not the
Can you
motion.
underline what it is that you're asking him to say?
Yeah,
That way I can
Resolve to
shut.
rescind the motion from January 28th to allow.
Oh, the whole, you did do the whole
You
thing,
did do
I'm
the
sorry,
whole thing.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, so motion by Mr. Ballard,
Right.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Clark, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, now he can read his new motion.
Right, now we can
correct?
take up the motion that's on the table.
It's already on the table, he doesn't have to reread it, but I do need it.
You got it.
Okay, so the motion, they don't have to make the motion again and second it?
No, we
okay.
set it
It's just,
aside.
Okay.
it's just set aside.
So now, is there any other discussion? And it is a roll call because of your deal of money.
Ballard,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Audie,
Yes.
Conan,
Yes.
Sturts,
Yes.
Bullock,
Yes.
Conan, or Cooper, sorry.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Next agenda item, how do we get there? Is the approval for the clerk to attend the MAMC Institute. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none, village clerk, this is your agenda item.
Okay, just like last year and the year prior, the MAMAC Institute is coming up in March. I have it budgeted for to cover the class and to cover my lodging. I've over budgeted because I'm sure I don't need what I budgeted. It's March 17th through the 22nd this year. This is my last year of it, and so I won't be putting it in my budget again next year. So I just brought this to council last year, so I'm bringing it back again for approval to go.
Well, I think we might as well finish it up.
Please, I would appreciate it.
Resolved to allow the clerk to attend an MAMC Institute from March 17th through the 22nd, 2013 at a cost not to exceed $600, and to allow for lodging for a cost not to exceed $300 as allowed for in the 2012-2013 approved budget.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sturritt, seconded by Mr. Conan. Any other discussion? Roll call.
I sort of would like to see probably a written report, and that we have it on file.
After
You
the
know,
class?
After the class has
All right.
been attended, then it's on file for, any future reason.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, that's fine.
Didn't you do a report?
She did
I
do
did
one last year,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think
do
there was a
not-
formal written request for it.
Yeah,
though,
I gave you a report when I came back, which made the minutes, but that's fine, I can do that.
Are you also saying like any packet to put in like a binder to keep in house for future use? Is that what you're also?
Well, it could be, if she wants to do that. I mean,
Just
maybe-
some-
I mean, it would be right now it'd be a page. I mean, I can go back through and give you a rough idea of the last 2 years and what's been
in other words,
beneficial and what
if, any
wasn't.
future, clerks that would come in possibly want to refer somewhat to it, if it would be beneficial to anybody.
Yeah, I don't know.
If she doesn't run anymore, or somebody else would want to.
Well, I do have, it would just be my chicken scratch writing in there, but I do have a book that outlined all the classes and everything. So yeah, that can be left here. I don't need it at home.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's
just
not a problem.
If somebody wants to look at it,
Mhm.
and if it's a benefit to a new clerk coming in, if it.
I would recommend
if it
every
would
clerk
happen.
take that class, those classes.
Yeah, if it
I
would
would
happen.
recommend it, so.
Any other discussion? Okay, it's a roll call vote.
Sturritt,
Yes.
Conan,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Bullock,
Yes.
Boddy,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes,
Baylor.
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. And again, the $300, the reason that I put that in there is Mary and I, township clerk and I split a room. And that's for just some unforeseen reason that she wouldn't be able to go and I would have to pay for the full room myself. It usually comes in under 150, so I don't anticipate spending that, but that just covers just in case.
Any other questions? Next agenda item is the contract negotiation committee replacement. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Hearing none. Mr. Wallach, this is your agenda item.
I talked with Mr. Starr. He expressed a desire, before.
That's what's going in the minutes, you know that. Desire to serve on the negotiation.
And I would like to see him as a replacement for myself
I had to speak
at
up.
this time. So, in fact, I would make a motion to that effect to appoint Mr. Starr in my place.
I'd like to second that.
Motion by Mr. Wallach,
Just in case it
second
changes.
by Mr. Conan.
Well, I do that because I know it's Mike's desire.
He was pretty upset at the last
I
meeting.
was
that we
upset
spoke.
when you guys left me out.
Do you want your motion to say to appoint trustee Sturt to the negotiation committee in place of trustee Wolak? Or,
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
okay.
Any other discussion?
And I'm sorry, that was you, Marv, and Dave?
Mr. Conan.
That's correct.
Any other discussion?
I hope he just actually accepts the position.
Oh, he wants it. He desires it, yes. So take it without any
I never
problem.
use that word desire.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. You didn't vote nay?
No.
I love the way everybody
Motion
else
passes.
jumps on on that, just in case, it has to be
Thank
them.
you, Mr. Starr, very kind.
You're welcome.
Are there any other upcoming agenda items for the next meeting?
Yes, ma'am. Amendment to Title I, Chapter 9 of the Village Code of Ordinances.
I'm sorry, to where?
The amendment
To
to
what?
Title I, Chapter 9 of the Village Code of Ordinances,
And what's the subject matter of that now?
DDA.
DDA?
Okay. Anything else on the upcoming agenda items?
I may have, yeah, I don't want, I'll just put it on if I have to. I'm just thinking if I have answers from other communities, I'll bring it back, but, you know, you just don't know if anybody's gonna be able to give you an answer, so.
CDB community?
Yeah, yep.
Should we have on here a negotiation committee update at our next meeting?
I got an update for you.
So I'm pushing a little too hard already, is what you're saying, Mr. Stewart? You sounded so excited.
You're in a rush.
Yeah, we figured we were already on it, Mike.
You're in a rush.
Any other upcoming agenda items? Hearing none, any citizen comment on non-agenda items? Any other citizen comments? Hearing none, any council comments? Any council comments? Hearing none, any community events? Baseball?
Yeah, they have a banner hanging up,
I
I
did see
think,
that.
Yeah, the wind
when
blew
the
it.
wind's not blowing, you can
Yeah.
actually read it.
Yeah.
And then I think a form went home for softball with the school kids, so if you do have a school-aged child, they would have received a softball letter, and I believe baseball registration's at the same time.
And March 8th, Friday, March 8th is our daddy-daughter dance for ASAP. So just to let everyone know that, if you desire a boutonniere or corsage, get your reservation in early. We always sell out of those. Anything else? Hearing none, we have no closed session tonight. The time is 8. Mr. Stewart, what time is it?
It is 8:07.
8:07. Is there a motion to adjourn at this time? Motion by Mr. Wallach, is there a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Ballard. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried, meeting is adjourned.